What if the loudest trade of the entire World Cup season is built on a foundation almost nobody is checking? Right now, Chiliz sits at 3 cents. The World Cup kicks off in days, and every corner of crypto is calling it the obvious play. But here's the part they skip. The same project burning its own supply is minting roughly 14 times more of it every single day. So today, I'm breaking my own rules, and I'll show you exactly where this setup pays and exactly where it falls apart. Timing here is everything. The World Cup is the biggest sports catalyst crypto gets all year, and Chiliz is the one project plugged straight into it through official fan tokens. Sentiment is split. One camp sees a seasonal rocket, the other a dying altcoin bleeding against Bitcoin. Both miss the real picture. I went through the burn dashboards, the unlock schedule, and the actual fan token launches, and what I found changes how you size this position. So before you touch Chiliz, see the contradiction at the center of it. Let's start with the catalyst everyone is buying. Chiliz just launched 2 national team fan tokens. Scotland at $1, South Africa at 50 cents, 20 million supply each. On the surface, the World Cup narrative is alive. But look closer. Just 2 new World Cup nations have launched, on top of Portugal and Argentina. Italy has its own too, but unfortunately they didn't qualify for the competition. According to analyst Christian Ott, the Locker Room Internationals program has basically ended, with every other option turned inactive. So the expansion you're picturing is really a contraction. Now the detail that should stop you cold. Look at the World Cup winner odds. France around 18%, Spain around 17%, England near 11%. The favorites to lift the trophy. Not one of them has a fan token. The teams most likely to spark a buying frenzy are the exact ones Chiliz couldn't tokenize. The cleanest version of this catalyst, a deep run from a tokenized favorite, mostly doesn't exist. Then CEO Alex Dreyfus added something important. Under European MiCA regulation, Chiliz has to mint tokens and file paperwork before any deal is confirmed. You might see tokens for Belgium or Spain appear on-chain. Dreyfus said it plainly. Minting a token and filing a white paper does not mean a contract is signed. So if you trade on a token sighting alone, you're chasing a ghost. Now step back, because the infrastructure underneath is no joke. Chiliz has generated more than $700 million for sports organizations. More than 70 global giants, including Barcelona, PSG, and Juventus. Over 170 listings. A peak market cap that once touched $1 billion. They're taking fan tokens omni-chain onto Solana and Base, chasing what they call a $1 trillion opportunity. Their NaverPay deal in Asia already created over 900,000 wallets. PSG became the first sports club on Earth to run a validator. This is real adoption. Here's where the whole truth comes out, the part hype videos skip. The token is deeply inflationary. Chiliz takes 10% of fan token revenue to buy back and burn supply. In April, they burned about 4.6 million tokens. Sounds great until you check the value. That was roughly $167,000. Against a $340 million market cap, that's a rounding error. And it gets worse. The monthly burn is shrinking. 10 million tokens in March, 9 million in April, 4 million in May. The burn is decelerating right into the World Cup. Total ever burned is under 25 million. About 0.28% of supply. Meanwhile, the unlock schedule releases almost 2 million fresh tokens every single day. That's roughly 57 million a month pouring in, against 4 million burned. The on-chain data says the same. 648 active addresses on a recent day. Daily fees of $152. For a $340 million chain, that's a ghost town. So the real question is simple. Can a World Cup outrun that supply? Now the chart, because the technicals show exactly where the risk lives. We're on the weekly time frame, and the structure is brutal but clean. Chiliz has been trapped in a descending channel running all the way back from its all-time high in March of 2021. Years of lower highs and lower lows, respected almost perfectly. Right now, Chiliz trades below the 21, the 55, and the 100 exponential moving averages, the red, purple, and yellow lines, and below the 200 simple moving average in green. Every moving average is stacked above price. Textbook bearish structure. The trend isn't your friend here, it's your warning.
Now the levels that matter. The first wall above us is 5 cents.
That's the ceiling Chiliz keeps getting rejected from, the resistance that's held for over a year. And on my Fibonacci, it lines up with the 1 level. I anchored that fib from 5 cents in September 2024, up to 13 cents in December. The 618 extension sits near 7 cents. The 1618 sits at roughly 2.7 cents, close to where we are now. So the same level giving us support is the deep extension of that move. Below everything, the 2618 sits near 1 cent. That's the abyss we don't want to test. On the indicator under the price, the Heikin-Ashi Relative Strength Index reads neutral, but pointing down. No reversal signal yet. And none of this happens in a vacuum. Altcoins live and die by Bitcoin. Bitcoin is fighting hard around the lower 70,000 zone right now. If it loses that and slides towards 60 to 65,000, the odds of this whole market grinding lower jump fast, and Chiliz bleeds with it. Here's exactly what I'm doing. My accumulation zone is that green box between 5 and 3 cents. I said it in my February 2nd video, when I warned the Heikin-Ashi RSI was extended and a correction was coming. It came. Price tapped the lower edge, so I made my second and larger entry here. But it's still a tiny piece of my portfolio. This is my World Cup gamble. Almost a leverage play except on spot with no liquidation risk. For my invalidation, my line in the sand, I'm giving it room. Aggressive, I use 2 cents. Conservative, I move it up half a cent to 2.5 cents. That's wide, I know. But this token is violently volatile, and the price action needs room to breathe. The rule stays simple. A weekly candle has to close below it, and if this whole channel breaks down, I'd flip and consider a short. My targets stack up the chart. 5 cents first, then 7, then 9, then 13. And in a low probability dream scenario, where alts come alive and the burn finally outpaces the minting on real volume and revenue, I'm watching the 20 to 40 cent region. I manage it with a trailing invalidation. First target hits, the stop moves to entry, and the trade is risk-free. Second hits, it trails to the first, and so on. I lock gains in as I climb and let the rest run. Let's put the picture together, because this is where strategy beats emotion. The bullish case needs a few things. Bitcoin holds. Alts wake up. The World Cup drives enough fan token revenue that burns finally matter. If that happens, price can break the channel and run through my targets fast, because the float that really trades is thin. The bearish case is simpler. Bitcoin breaks down, the World Cup turns into a sell the news event, the burns stay tiny, and relentless supply grinds price into my invalidation zone. Here's the one number I'm watching above all else: the monthly burn. Right now, it's around 4 million tokens. For the deflation story to become real, it has to climb toward 50 million a month just to cancel the unlocks. That's the pivot point. That single metric tells you who's winning. There's also a seasonal piece I can't ignore. Study Chiliz, and from the middle of the year into year end, it has historically put in moves of at least 100%. So the timing isn't random. My thesis flips the day they cut supply, raise the burn allocation, or onboard more squads with better tokenomics. Until then, I treat this as exactly what it is: a small, calculated, high-risk position. Let me close with the whole truth, because this was never just a trade video. Chiliz sits at a major technical level with a real catalyst landing in days. The infrastructure is legitimate, but the tokenomics fight the price every single day through relentless supply. That's why this stays a small, high-risk position for me, not a core holding. The lesson is this: a catalyst means nothing if the supply behind it drowns the demand. Let the chart decide, manage your risk, and never let a narrative size your position for you. If this brought you value, hit like and subscribe. It tells the algorithm to put this research in front of more serious investors. And if you want my exact execution in real time, the live portfolio, the precise accumulation and de-risking zones, the weekly strategy calls, the Sunday prep report, it all lives inside the Pro Capital Vault, my private Discord. The logical next step if you trade positions seriously. Hit the join button below, use the link in the description, or scan the code on screen. Once you're in, sync your YouTube account to Discord and every private channel unlocks. Before you go, watch my last Chiliz video, where I break down their full vision through 2030. It's essential context for what we covered today. None of this is financial advice. It's my research and my strategy. Your capital, your call.